We may make mistakes as journalists. There are enough fora for us to correct those mistakes. And my only request is that on that one specific issue at the moment, at least let us show some solidarity. We have all our differences. We can continuously fight with each other on numerous issues.
The government cannot use laws like these British era sedition laws, criminal defamation to stifle the voice of journalists. Mistakes will happen, errors in reporting will happen. They cannot be in any way stifled. I mean, the voice of journalists cannot be stifled by using these as excuses in order to ensure that there is no coverage of issues that are inconvenient to the government. And I think each of the journalists who have been served these sedition notices, actually represent everyone. They represent all journalists in a sense, because that seems to be what the government is trying to do. By serving these notices, they are trying to tell all journalists that they can actually act against them and ensure that coverage that is inconvenient to them is stifled.
See, if today we are not here, then when we will be? Because today, journalism in this country, not only journalism, freedom of the speech is in danger. And if there is no freedom of speech, there is no democracy. I think this is very important that today the journalists have come together. They've lost their protest. Because if this continues like this, then there will be no future for democracy in this country. And for the youngsters, I can only say this thing, that wherever you are, whatever you are doing, be honest to yourself and imagine that if you are not expressing yourself freely, then you no longer be a journalist. So it's important that you voice yourself and you tell what you feel is the truth.
There has to be serious responsibility as far as journalists are concerned in terms of what information you're putting out there. I completely understand that, and the more senior you are, the more senior a reporter or an editor you are, that responsibility needs to be taken even more seriously. But having said that, when you are working in a condition, in a situation where things are changing fast, or where there could be a lot of hostility on the ground, you're covering a conflict situation, a riot situation, sometimes there could be some misinformation that comes your way. Now in TV news especially, where the dissemination of news has to be so fast, you're dealing with a machine, a beast of a machine, there it may not be possible to do a quick fact checking the moment you get that piece of information. But the point is, did a reporter do that deliberately to incite violence? The point is, did the reporter, after having made a mistake, did that person apologize for it or not, retract that information if that information was wrong or not? If all of that has been done, that context also needs to be seen, because there are large sections of what is perceived to be the government-friendly media today, where day in and day out misinformation is propagated and spread deliberately, and when they are called out, we never see them taking responsibility for it, admitting their mistakes, forget the fact that they need to be apologetic about it. So I think there, of course, one has to weigh in on the circumstances in which a misinformation was put out, but clearly there has to be further responsibility, of course, as far as senior journalists are concerned, to make sure that they don't fall a prey themselves to fake news or do not preach fake news.
There was some controversy about the person who died, whether he was killed by a bullet or he died because of an accident, and that is thought was totally unjustified, because it was an evolving story, and you may start with a certain kind of view about a story and it may evolve into something else. So that is why we are here. We think that pressure from the state in this manner to subvert journalism, so we are protesting here.
Those tweets were in fact later on withdrawn and they were deleted as well. So there's no reason to sort of intimidate the media in this fashion for whatever reason. And we've seen of late that there has been an increased use of the law of sedition against the media as well as other people in general in society. I mean, for instance, whether it's a comedian or whether it's somebody who posts a remark about somebody in public office. So these kind of sweeping use of these laws is not good for democracy like ours.
In this particular case, we have Mrinal Pande, who's the founder president of the Indian Women's Press Corps. There's Rajdeep Sardesai, Zafar Agha, and lots of other editors and journalists who have been slapped sedition cases against them. This is patently wrong, and we must unite and come together. We all became journalists because we wanted to speak up, tell the story both on the left, on the right, and in the middle. We have to give both sides of the story. That's why we are journalists. We also became journalists because we want to speak truth to power.